The curse of the talking lotus. Words have power, use them wisely. The kingdom of Mayapuri. Long ago, in the prosperous kingdom of Mayapuri, there lived a young prince named Dev. He was intelligent, strong, and well loved by his people. But Dev had one great flaw. He spoke without thinking. His words were sharp, his tongue often caused more harm than he realized. If he was angry, he would insult people without care. If he was happy, he would make promises without considering if he could keep them. His father, King Dharan, warned him, "A ruler's words are like arrows. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back." But they have never listened. The Mysterious Lotus. One day, while hunting in the royal gardens, they found a breathtaking golden lotus blooming in the middle of a sacred pond. He stepped closer, and to his shock, the flower spoke. "Prince Dev," the lotus said, its voice soft and melodic, "I have been waiting for you." Dev was stunned. "A talking flower? How is this possible?" The lotus chuckled. "I am not an ordinary flower. I was blessed by the gods to grant power to the one who finds me. If you pluck me, you shall have the ability to control nature with your words." Excited, Dev plucked the lotus. At once, a golden light surrounded him. The magic of the lotus flowed through his veins, and he could feel its power. Eager to test his new ability, Dev spoke without thinking. "Let the rivers flow faster." At once the rivers swelled, flooding the fields. "Let the trees grow taller." They shot up unnaturally fast, their branches tangling and blocking sunlight. "Let the winds be strong." A fierce storm arose, terrifying the people. Instead of helping his kingdom, Dev had caused chaos. Farmers lost their crops, travelers were stranded, and once happy city became fearful of the prince's words. But Dev was too proud to admit his mistake. He ignored the warnings of the elders and continued using his powers carelessly. One evening, a wise old sage arrived at the palace. He bowed before the king and said, "The prince's reckless words have disturbed the balance of nature. If he does not learn to control his tongue, the gods will take away his voice forever." Dev laughed. "A prince without a voice? Impossible. I am the ruler. My words shape the world." The sage shook his head. "If you do not change, your words will turn against you." But Dev ignored him. That night, he looked out at the stars and carelessly said, "Let there be eternal sunlight." The moment he spoke, the moon disappeared and the sun remained fixed in the sky. Days passed and night never returned. The heat scorched the land, crops withered, and people fell sick. Realizing his mistake, Dev tried to undo his command. "Let night come back," he cried, but his words no longer held power. Instead, his voice vanished. He tried to speak, but no sound came. The curse had taken hold. Panicked and desperate, Dev returned to the sacred pond, holding the golden lotus in his trembling hands. He bowed and pleaded in silence for forgiveness. A soft voice echoed in his mind. It was the lotus. True power lies not in speaking, but in knowing when to be silent. To break the curse, you must listen, learn, and use your words wisely. For the next year, Dev lived as a silent observer. He watched how his people suffered, how wise men spoke with care, and how his father ruled with wisdom. He realized that words were not just sounds, they carried responsibility, promises, and consequences. After a year of silence, the lotus spoke again. "Have you learnt your lesson?" Dev nodded. At that moment, his voice returned, but now it was calm, thoughtful, and full of wisdom. When he finally spoke, the kingdom listened, not out of fear, but out of respect. From that day on, Dev became a wise and just ruler. He no longer spoke carelessly, for he knew that every word had power. The golden lotus remained in the palace pond, blooming only for those who truly understood its lesson. And so the kingdom of Mayapuri flourished once again, not by magic, but by the power of words used wisely.